The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. And try not to become a man of success, rather become a man of value. The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science. Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. It would be possible to describe everything scientifically, but it would make no sense. It would be without meaning, as if you described a Beethoven symphony as a variation of wave pressure. A question that sometimes drives me hazy. Am I or are the others crazy? Blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. Logic will get you from A to Z. Imagination will get you everywhere. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. We all know that light travels faster than sound. That's why certain people appear bright until you hear them speak. If we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? I must be willing to give up what I am in order to become what I will be. Everything must be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. One cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery each day. The best way to cheer yourself is to cheer somebody else up. When you are courting a nice girl, an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red-hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. That's relativity. What is right is not always popular, and what is popular is not always right. When you trip over love, it is easy to get up, but when you fall in love, it is impossible to stand again. The pursuit of truth and beauty is a sphere of activity in which we are permitted to remain children all our lives. Once you can accept the universe as matter expanding into nothing that is something, wearing stripes with plaid comes easy. I am enough of an artist to draw freely upon my imagination. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. 2. A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it. If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feeling as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. The world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. It is not that I'm so smart, but I stay with the questions much longer. Two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Any fool can know. The point is to understand. Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. I speak to everyone in the same way, whether he is the garbage man or the president of the university. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. Free truth is what stands the test of experience. Common sense is nothing more than a deposit of prejudices laid down in the mind before you reach 18. The only source of knowledge is experience. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking. There comes a time when the mind takes a higher plane of knowledge but can never prove how it got there. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created. The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive. Most teachers waste their time by asking questions that are intended to discover what a pupil does not know, whereas the true art of questioning is to discover what the pupil does know or is capable of knowing. Few are those who see with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. As a human being, one has been endowed with just enough intelligence to be able to see clearly how utterly inadequate that intelligence is when confronted with what exists. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Without deep reflection, one knows from daily life that one exists for other people. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value.